Hey guys, I gotta get it in the right spot. It is Thursday, what is the date? August 29th, and today was my kid's first day of school again, and it was my oldest, Christian, his first day of his senior year. Yay! So that was exciting. A little disappointing because I am supposed to also have my daughter, and she is not here today. So, you know, I always look at these things as possible lasts. I hate to go that way, but I just pray that this was not my last chance to have a first day of school with her. Anyway, I did get to spend some quality time with Christian last night, getting ready for today and this morning. So that was a good thing. And so I got up quite early to make sure he had a good breakfast, nice and, you know, make sure things went peaceful and not rushed this morning. So I'll post some pictures from that somewhere on this. Say bye. Bye. Love you. How to get it. My senior. Oh! But it's, like I said, only of Christian. But after I was done, I had a lot of cleaning that I needed to take care of. Because of being sick last week, I'm getting caught up in everything. And this person's not going to let me over. I hate it when they do that. All right, thank you for not letting me over, but anyway, I am now on my way to my doctor's appointment again at the hospital. What it seems like is that I'll have my treatment, and then the following week I'll come back and have another thing, and blood work taken and other stuff, and then at that second appointment, which is a week later, I will also have my Neulasta shot. It is not the same as with the other chemotherapies where I had chemo and then immediately was given the Neulasta Onpro, which is the thing they stick on you, and then it automatically injects it a certain amount of hours after you finish your infusion. I'm not sure why. I think it has something to do with how this chemo gives you it long-lasting more. So, number one, the side effects don't, like the side effects of the lower white cells, which is what the Neulasta is given for, they come on later. So you don't qualify for using the Neulasta Onpro. So I did have to get my shot, and it was odd because I did have diarrhea and I wasn't feeling, I was really tired for a few days, but had no nausea whatsoever, no throwing up, and I was told I shouldn't have that. Maybe a little nausea, which they gave me nausea meds and everything. Before I had my chemo, they gave me nausea meds, and then I have nausea meds to take. But as soon as I got home, I started getting really nauseous, and so I took the one that I had. I didn't have the one that goes under my tongue, which is the one that seems to work the best for me if all of a sudden I get nauseous and I feel like you get that feeling right here where you feel like you're gonna vomit. And so I looked for it, I couldn't find it, so I took the other one, which takes longer, and it just took a long time for it to work, and I kept getting more nauseous and sick, and I got to the point where I couldn't keep anything down, including fluids. for about 4 days. 2 of the days, was it 2? Yeah. Once I got sick, 2 of the days, my Amanda and Christian were there, which is a good and a bad, because I like to try to schedule my treatments so that when I'm doing my worst, they don't have to be with me. Number one, I can be the best mom I can be when they are with me. They don't have to take care of me. They don't have to worry about me and see me sick. And so, like with, for example, my immunotherapies, when I did that for I think it was almost 18 months, 16 months, somewhere in that range, I had treatment every other week, and I knew when I was going to get sick, what day, I think it was 2 days after treatment, my initial infusion, I would feel like I had the flu, I'd get a high fever, and then certain things would happen on certain days, and so I always scheduled my worst days to be either the weekends that my children are with their father, or I try to schedule them on the days I know I don't have them, where that would be Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday during the day until school's out. This, however, because of the unpredictability of the getting sick, number one, I was told the more chemos you have, or I guess more treatments, so they included the immunotherapies in that, the more you have, the less predictable the medicines are. Number one, because you just have so much in your body, so your body's already been through a lot, but also they hold off on certain meds. They try to give you the meds that really will get rid of the cancer, but with the least amount of side effects first, and then they end up giving you the other ones that are less predictable. And so I'm at the point where, yes, I'm at those less predictable ones, plus I've had 13 or something like that. And I'm saying 13 different treatments, not including surgeries, radiation, pill form, not 13 rounds. So, unfortunately, the kids, Mandy and Christian, were quite concerned seeing me get that sick, and they were like, you need to go to the hospital. And I know what I need to be at the hospital for. Usually I do this and I take care of this when they're not here, and I have to go through the nausea, go to the bathroom, lay on the toilet, whatever, and then go to the bed, and I'm crashed. And they're just not used to seeing me like that, so it scared them. And their father was moving that weekend, so I knew that they had told me that one day that I was bad, and I said, do you want to go back to your dad's house? I tried to find them other places to go, other people to help me, but unfortunately there wasn't really anybody to help me, and the people weren't available, and Mandy said she didn't have anybody to hang out with right now. So Christian was okay with staying there, but I really worried about Amanda. I thought she should be with a friend right now. She didn't need to be worried about me. But they said, and we don't have our bed at Dad's house anyway, and so I was like, okay, well, then I did take care of, they take care of their own breakfast, except for when it's school, and it wasn't school, so I took care of their lunch and their dinners. It took me longer to get the stuff done. It took me longer to clean up afterwards, but they did, and I tried to chill on the couch with them, and it wasn't the best, but we got through it. And I did have to go once they left to get some IV fluids here in the infusion room and some stuff IV through the IV, which helps me. This is my first time back, and I think this is just, like I said, going to be, well, I may have not have said it, an appointment to see how I'm doing, especially after being nauseous last week. They'll do my blood again, check that. If I need anything, they'll give it to me. And I think that's all. So I'm pulling up, and so give me a few moments. I'm not sure if I'll bring the camera in or not. Well, I'll bring it in. I just don't know if there's going to be anything you need to see once I'm in there. Might just end up pulling you out afterwards so you can if we talked about anything, I need to update you on anything, I can just real quick go over it. Oh boy. I will tell you, I feel so much better than I was last week. It just is like more than night and day. All right, so I'm here. I will see you guys soon. Hola. So, I had just a quick blood work and conversation. Oh, no. All right. Let's take two. It takes two, baby. It takes two, baby. Me and you. It just takes two. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I sound horrible. Alright. Now that I have got this going, let's get this party started. I have one more thing I have to do in here, so I'm going to have to... Oh my, there's a line. Where did this line come from? There's like 5 or 6 cars in line to go out. I've never had more than 2. Alright, so I wonder if it's broken. I hope not. Okay. I met with, I first had my blood work done, and it's a pain in the butt because, actually not a pain in the butt, a pain in the arm. Anyone who knows me knows that I have always had extremely bad veins when it comes to my veins rolling, collapsing, exploding, whatever they want to do, but not doing what they're supposed to do. And that's the reason why, I mean, this is before I even had cancer. I was like this. I had my issues where I had to have a doctor come in and draw it from my groin. One time it was out of my foot. Oh, it's just been horrible. So as soon as I got chemo the second time, they were like, we got to get you a port. And they were like, that day alone had to put my, hold on. Oh, it looks like that was just hit. I wonder if somebody hit it and that's what took so long. Anyway, they had, my IV accessed in my arm, and the day before, I think it took forever for it finally to come in, and it kept collapsing. I think I had to have it like replaced 4 times, and then they're like, well, you have to have a port, so let's do that. And I seriously think that day, and it was early in the morning that I was having my port placed, they're like, just hold your arm like this. And I had already had it, I think, 3 times that day alone. And as we're going down, I'm not moving my arm at all, and it blew. And so she puts me in a room, and here it turns out that they couldn't have me go back right then, so I still had to wait. And she's like, I'm gonna not even try to access it again until we know we're going in. So she goes, and I guess 20 minutes later she comes in, she goes, okay, they're going to be ready for you, so I'm going to access it now. And she accessed it, she put in another IV, and with veins like that you have to have the butterfly or children's ones, really tiny ones. And so she had bought one with her, but we weren't expecting. Literally, I'm there driving. I'm there laying there, not moving holding my arm. She's holding my arm, so it's not moving. And she turns to talk to a nurse that just walked in. And right then and there, she's like, oh my God, your vein just blew again. And I'm like, ah. So I didn't move it. It just blew. They kept blowing. So she couldn't find another butterfly the right size. And so they had to let the next person go because they had to have a vein in me to be able to do the procedure. And they couldn't find, they needed to have someone go and get a butterfly needle. So they got it. And finally, when we were there, we were able to access it, or I put the IV back in while I was in the the OR. And so we finally got my port placed. Saying all that is to preface, to tell you why my veins are horrible. That, and then I had, chemotherapy every other week for 16, 18 weeks, or immunotherapy. And so it's just, the more you get, the worse your veins are, especially chemotherapy. So my veins were getting, even with the port, they kept getting clogged and having issues. But they want to try to give my port a break. And since I'm on treatment that drops my levels, that also will make me more susceptible to having infections. And so, since I have to have my blood done every week right now, that raises my possibility of having way more infections. So instead of using my port, because the port goes right to the heart, and if an infection happened there, that would be really bad. So they just give my port a break. And so anytime I go in during the week to get my actual blood work drawn, I have to have it out of my arm. And so I was very worried about how this was going to happen. And I guess 2 weeks ago, it didn't really... What are you doing? Oh, there's an accident. Oh, I understand what was going on now. Okay. So there was... last week I didn't have to have... I did have to have them do it out of my arm. But because of the fact that I also needed to have some fluids and other stuff, they just accessed my port and did it from that. This week I was like, oh boy, what's going to happen? She tried a few times and it finally did give her something. So I was so happy to know that I wasn't have to go and just like have her try over and over again and ended up having to use the port. So I had my blood done. She said that they had just given me the Neulasta last week, so they weren't expecting my counts to be too low. And they were fine to let me go. And I had discussed with them my side effects and how I got sick and how it seemed to have been right after I had my Neulasta shot. And they're like, well, you've had Neulasta before, right? And I had told them before I had it, it was with the Onpro, and that was a week. This one time it was the shot, and a week later. And I said it doesn't seem to make sense because I got the other side effects that you normally would get from the Onpro, or from Neulasta, which are really bad joint and body aches and really bad headaches. So I did have that, and then complete exhaustion. But the whole nausea, vomiting, she's like, well, that could have just been the right time for you to have had those normal side effects from chemo. And I said, but that's not supposed to be a side effect of this chemo. And they gave me all the nausea meds, pre-nausea meds, and I said I even had stuff and wasn't even able to keep anything down with the one that goes on your tongue. And so, they're trying to figure this out, and they're like, well, you've had the Neulasta before, so it can't be that. And I said, well, I've also had this before too, because they're like, well, maybe you just had a flu and you didn't know you had a virus or flu. I said, and the doctor, Dr. Riley, walked in, because I was mostly working with the main head nurse and the other nurses who know me. Dr. Riley walked in as they're discussing it, and he said, what are you saying, she got sick again? I said, well, and they explained what happened. And I said, so I've never had issues with Neulasta, but I've had being sick before. He goes, yeah, you've had being sick. Maybe the whole time you didn't know it was actually a reaction to the Neulasta, and you weren't really sick. You had a reaction, you had chemo and a reaction to Neulasta, but we never put it together. So, what does that mean? Next time when I go to have chemo, they're going to have to cautiously see if I absolutely need the Neulasta. And if I don't, they won't give it to me, and then they'll see if I have the same side effects. And then if I don't have those side effects, most likely it's the Neulasta. It's kind of playing a game, because with this last chemo that I had, the one problem I did have was that my white cell and my platelets kept tanking, like getting so low that I had to stop treatment a few times. So they don't want that to happen. So it's like this little game they have to play to try to figure out what to do. All I know is I'm feeling so much better now. I'm really tired, but that's a given. They asked me if the diarrhea's kicked in, and I told them, you know, I had diarrhea like after my second or third day after treatment, before all the vomiting stuff. And they said, well, that is common, but then usually like the second or third week you get a lot of diarrhea again. So I'm like, oh yay, so I still have to look for the diarrhea. And they said, yeah, probably, like, let's get you started on the med. So I got another med for that prescribed. So, yeah. To be honest, I thought this battery's going to be dead, and it's not. So I'm glad, because I do have one more thing to say. So after I had my appointment, I talked it over with the doctor, what we're going to do next. My next appointment is on Thursday again, next Thursday. And I'll get my blood work checked. They said if I get a lot of diarrhea, to use the meds, but if I can't, and I feel any side effects whatsoever, to get in for IVs, fluids and meds through the IV, because I tend to get, like, I'll get, like, not diarrhea and sick, and then I'm not able to keep anything down, and then I get so sick that it's like 2 in the morning, and that's when I end up in the ER. So we don't want that. So even like next week, I might be getting fluids again. Not in the hospital, but hopefully it'll happen. I can see it and then go in that day into the infusion room. Alright, so it is a gorgeous night, and Christian is loving the sky. I'm not sure if you're going to see it with this one. There it is. I can't do any kind of editing on this one. C'est larby. Beep, 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 beep. Okay. This is the evening of Christian's first day of school, his senior year. I said first day of school, his senior year. Woo! This is a video. It's called First Day of School, Senior Year. No, we'll just call this Christian's senior year. Every day, one day, well, I can't really do a day that you're at your dad's house. You can do them with this, but you gotta say at least one thing or do one thing every day this year when you're with me, okay?
No.
Well, I'm gonna make
they have a weather thing. They have the same weather thing I have with dad.
Where's that?
Look.
I don't see it. My eyes are really bad. Oh, on that corner, that white thing. Yes, you're all right. Do you see it? Do you see it?
Now, it's even better.
Oh, that is pretty. That is very pretty. They're like, why are they doing that? I don't understand them. Couldn't then. So that's the same one you actually have.
Yeah.
Okay.
The older one at that.
You didn't leave it there, did you?
No.
Okay, good. All right. Say goodnight.
Good night.